Hey guys, Ryan here. After the recent changes to snipers with the recent update, I think it's also important to change your sniper supports. I'm going to be explaining what sniper supports you should be using, I'm going to be giving you the best attachments, and pretty much everything in between. I just want to quickly say thank you to everyone who helped me get this close to 1,000 subscribers, and I really cannot say how appreciative I am. So having said all of that, let's get into it and let's start with what I would consider the best and the S tier sniper supports. At number 1, we have the Cooper Carbine. At number 2, the Owen gun. At number 3, we're going to have the Bullfrog and PPSH from Cold War. And at 4, we're going to have the Cold War AK. After the recent sniper changes, it's really important to have a sniper support that's good in the close range, but more importantly, is really good in the mid-range, and that's what all of these options have going for them. The Bullfrog and Cold War PPSH have never been considered S-tier sniper supports for me since Vanguard has released. But now, when I look at their damage in the mid-range, their overall mobility, and everything they kind of have going for them, I think they're clearly S tier. I will say that the Cooper Carbine and the Owen gun kind of stand out as the two best, but all of the other sniper supports are also extremely viable, and even the A tier sniper supports I'm going to talk about are almost just as viable. I will say if you were a more conservative player, if you're a more laid back player, I'd really recommend the Cooper Carbine or the Cold War AK. And if you're a more aggressive player, pick one of the SMGs. The Owen gun is a little difficult to get the hang of, and you can change the fabric grip for the polymer grip, but once you get the feel for the recoil, the damage range is really good, the damage is extremely good up close, and it's just overall a really good sniper support. That also goes for the Cooper Carbine though. The Cooper Carbine has surprised me a ton, and I have it number 1 because I genuinely think it might be the best sniper support for almost all players. The Owen gun and other guns might be better for higher skilled players, but I think when you consider people playing on console, people at an average skill level, just a normal average player, the Cooper Carbine has some of the best damage, it has some of the easiest recoil to control, and it's just a really good gun. I would heavily recommend for almost anyone to try the Cooper Carbine out. So right now in the background, I'm going to have the attachments for the Cooper Carbine, and then I'm going to go through all of the guns I had in the S tier, and you're going to be able to see all of the attachments, and if you need to get the attachments, you can just pause the video and get them from there. You should feel free to be able to change the attachments as you see fit if you think anything would be better for your own personal playstyle. And this is going to lead me into talking about the A tier sniper supports. So at number 1, we have the XM4 and Vargo 52. Number 2, we have the Volks. Number 3, the CX9. And the Mac 10 and Ram 7 are going to round off this list. So if you didn't really feel too comfortable with any of my S tier options, then I would definitely consider a lot of these guns. Almost all of them are equally viable as their S tier counterparts, but they usually just have some weakness that can easily be made up by focusing on that weakness through your playstyle. I'm going to give the example of the CX9. The CX9 actually has an insanely good close range time to kill, and it has really good hipfire, but it is a little mediocre in terms of raw time to kill in the mid range. But if you focus on taking close range gunfights, you're going to notice how good it is. But on the flip side, something like the Vargo 52 excels in the mid range and isn't too good up close. And that's where you have to understand where these A tier options, they're not as perfectly balanced as the other guns. Now, I will say the XM4 could easily sneak into the S tier, and the only reason it really isn't is just because it was nerfed recently, and I find it just isn't as reliable. Now, I do still really like it, and as I said before, it could have easily snuck into the S tier, but I felt it was a little more appropriate to be put into the A tier for now. I also genuinely think guns like the Volks are being really slept on as sniper supports and even as a long range AR, and it does feel very similar to the Cooper Carbine. The main strength of the Volks is it has extremely good strafe speed and pretty good mobility with pretty low recoil. And you're going to experience similar things with the Mac 10 and Ram 7. The Ram 7 is obviously more suited for the mid-range, and it really excels at that. The Mac 10 is very similar to the PPSH and Bullfrog, where it's kind of a hybrid option, and it just feels very balanced and it feels really good. And that's where I think the sniper support meta really shines right now, is you really have actually a ton of different options, and almost every gun I listed here is going to be worth using. I am now going to shift to talking about Rebirth sniper supports, and that's because there is a fundamental difference and a pretty big gap between the sniper supports you want to use on the two maps. Up first, we're going to have the Owen gun, At second, we have the Cooper Carbine. Number 3, the CX9. Number 4, the LAPA. And number 5, the Cold War AK-47. I meant to put the LAPA in the A tier for Caldera sniper support, so you can just grab the build from this video and you can use the build for all of the other guns. Something like the LAPA and CX9, they really thrive and are definitely S tier sniper supports on Rebirth because of how good they are in the close range. Because of their damage drop-offs between 10 and 20 meters, they aren't as good on Caldera, but they are actually phenomenal when it comes to Rebirth, and that's why I'd really recommend them. The CX9 feels particularly slept on for me because it has really good damage, it has insane hip fire, and it feels super good recoil-wise. If you get used to that hip fire up close, you can really use that to your advantage, and it just feels like one of the best sniper supports up close that I listed in this video. I think the one key thing I want people to take away is that the sniper support meta is very wide open right now, and you have a ton of different options, and I'd really recommend for you to use a lot of these different guns and kind of get a feel for what's going to be good. I know that it's not necessarily that simple. I know you probably don't have a lot of these guns leveled up, and I do apologize if I'm suggesting to just level up a gun when you don't have time for that. But I do really think there are a lot of different options, and almost any of the options I talked about in this video are going to be good for S tier and A tier. I once again just want to say thank you guys for helping me get this close to 1,000 subscribers, because that means I can actually start making money off of YouTube, albeit it's not going to be much at all, but it is a start, and it's really all to you guys. So once again, I just want to say thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you have a good day. It's been Ryan. Peace.